What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Curtain to Curtain. My name is Phoenix Clouden.
I am Lazuli.
We are your adjacent theater kids, and we have quite the
Oh yeah.
doozy for you today.
Oh yeah.
We are in the H's, and the H's are
The
giving.
H's are giving. Are giving. Last week was Hades Town and Hairspray. Now we got two more bangers
Mm-hmm.
with Hamilton, the big one itself, and Heathers.
Absolutely. Two very very different.
Very,
Very
very different
different
musicals.
musicals. But two uh
Good
we'll
musicals.
we'll
Good
get there.
shit. Good
We'll
shit.
get there. So we have to start, of course,
With A
with
Ham
Hamilton.
himself. Hey,
with
Ham.
with our what how did they say it? Our
Our founding father on the $10.
I wasn't gonna say that one,
Our bastard
but
orphan
yeah,
son of a
bastard
songster.
orphan, founding father.
Yeah.
He is on the $10 bill. That's
He
amazing.
is on the $10.
It took me forever to realize that. I was like, who
They
is?
tell you in the musical
Yeah,
that
I
he's
know.
on the
Like
$10.
I was like, yeah. Oh, your obedient servant.
Ah, I see.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Alexander Hamilton. Anyway, so uh, we kind of have to.
Yeah.
Maybe there's someone
Maybe
who was
someone who
not
gets that.
touched by the phenomenon that
That
was
is
Hamilton.
Hamilton. The phenomena that raged across the mid 2010s. If you were in high school
Oh man,
in 2015 or 2016, there's no way you didn't hear about
there's
this.
no way.
As the person who was in high school during that time, there's no way you didn't hear about
I
it.
wasn't in high school, and trust me,
Granted,
like
granted, if you existed during this time frame, it's very hard for me to believe that you didn't hear about this musical, but there's a chance. There's a chance. There's a
there's a
chance.
slight chance. Anyway,
Hamilton.
Hamilton. A this is the second stage musical done by the great. I said it, Lin-Manuel
That's your
Miranda.
opinion. That is
uh,
your opinion.
and I stand by it. Uh, this is based on the book
The Book of Alexander Hamilton. I
of
don't remember
Alexander
what.
Ham, the biography of
Yeah,
Alexander
about
Hamilton by Ron
yeah,
Chernow, and it covers the life of Alexander Hamilton. And specifically, why Lin Manuel wanted to write this is he said that he wanted to write a musical about a person who 100% embodied hip hop culture,
which is so ironic
which was so ironic.
because
And
you would think, okay, hip hop culture. You're
yeah,
like, so he turned this play about he turned a musical that was going to be about slave owners and racists, but also some like revolutionary ideas and all that fun jazz and stuff. But mostly all white people. These were all white people.
yeah,
Despite the fact that Hamilton is from the Caribbean, he was a white man.
mostly white man, yes,
Mostly white man. Um,
Creole, but yeah.
Creole, but like a white man.
Hmm.
Into a hip hop musical.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, he initially, I believe he only had maybe two or three songs written, and he was invited to the White House, and that's when he told them
He
like, "This is
sang for
this is what I'm working
Obama.
on," and he I think he sang maybe
He
like the
sang the first
first
song. He sang
first
Alexander
yeah,
Hamilton,
Alexander Hamilton.
and he got
Uh,
laughed at.
he got laughed at. He got laughed at because he said like, "Yeah, I wanted to do a musical about someone who embodied hip hop," and the first thing I could think of was Alexander Hamilton. So
The
yeah,
man on the
very
$10 that nobody knows about.
right, very very funny moment.
Yeah.
And believe then President Obama was like, he said that and we all laughed, and then a few years later, He's like, ain't nobody laughing now.
Like,
Like,
yeah, nobody laughing now.
it's like,
He said
yeah,
that.
this thing blew up.
Yeah.
Blew
Um,
up Broadway.
it won so many Tonys. I don't think it hit the record for most Tonys
I
awarded to a
don't,
musical.
I don't
I don't think it
think
got that
so.
record,
I
but
mean, I
it
think it got
won.
a lot of the
It
nomination.
got a lot of nominations, though. It got one of the highest amounts of nominations.
Yeah, so it received. Oh dear God.
It was. It is a critically acclaimed
Yeah,
musical.
it received 16. Jesus Christ,
Jesus.
16 nominations. It won 11 of them things.
Yeah. Mhm.
It won 11 of them things.
Yeah.
It's only behind the producers, which won 12 awards.
Got
So,
it.
yeah, second most
Second
awarded
most awarded musical.
musical of all time.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, come on. It's
Yeah.
outstanding. Uh,
It's a good musical.
it was
It's
really good.
good. It was it is really good. I know I
Yeah,
like to diss on Lin-Manuel Miranda in this musical specifically and everything, but like I can't say that it's a bad musical.
right.
I
Yeah.
can't say it's a bad musical. Do I think that now that like I'm distanced from 2015 and 2016, can I look at it with a more critical eye and be like, okay, there are some decisions in here that were made, like 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 there
Yeah.
were some decisions that were made, but it not only revolutionized what a modern musical is, it revolutionized Broadway
Mm,
and musicals in general. Because
mhm,
prior to this musical, um, Broadway followed the idea of colorblind casting, which
mhm,
is when you just cast for somebody's talent and how they fit for the role. You don't care, like, you're not looking into how they look.
mhm,
But because of what this musical was, Lin made sure that the main cast, like, there's only, I think, one white person on the main
mhm.
cast, consistently throughout all iterations of this musical, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Even
There's
on
only one
national
white man, and
tours.
that's for King George.
Yeah.
It's all not, the rest of the cast is all non-white people, which is a good thing.
It's more than a good thing. It's a
It's
revolutionary thing
it's a
because
revolutionary thing because Broadway largely prior to that point was very white. And I
yeah,
would say is still very
very
white.
very wide. What I one year at the Tony Awards, I think it was the year one of the years that Ariana DeBose was
Mhm.
hosting, and she mentioned like the representation that was in Broadway, and one of the old nicknames of Broadway is the Great White Way,
Yeah.
which I was like, what? Like, yeah, and basically, I have no idea why it was called that, but I know why it's a terrible name for it because 90% of the roles on Broadway were
Mhm.
white
White
people.
people.
Like,
Yeah.
so like, yeah, she made a joke. It was like, now, especially in recent years, that's become more of a nickname and not a way of doing business.
Yeah.
So,
Especially because like it's inspired other musicals to also consider that. Like I know we
yeah.
talked about Hadestown last time, but
Mm,
there hasn't been a non there hasn't been a white person who has been casted as Hermes.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that that is a deliberate decision.
Deliberate choice.
Deliberate
Yeah.
choice.
And like what made this particularly revolutionary was like all of these people are white. like
Yeah.
like all of these
Yeah.
people were
All of
white.
these people are white. And that's where
And
we get into this was a revolutionary thing. These are still white people who like owned
yeah.
slaves.
Well,
And
and this is something too
yeah.
that like when the Pro Shot came out on Disney Plus,
Mhm.
um a lot of people brought that up, and it's something that I've always pushed back against because this isn't a story about that. like
Yeah, it's
like
not.
it,
It's
it's
not.
one of those things where it's like we know that. Yes, that's true. This isn't a story about that. This is a story about the founding of America. This is a story about the Revolutionary War. This is a
Mm-hmm.
story about one particular man's life. Uh, you know, and his struggles and triumphs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if we were talking, if it was a story about uh, you know,
I
the
mean, I
slavery
would
and them
say
owning
I
slaves,
would,
and
yeah,
then you
I
had people of color playing those roles, that would
right.
be
That would be different.
intensely problematic.
I think my point is more so that it's not really acknowledged in the story. Like there are lines, not to say that's not acknowledged at all. There are lines referring to it, like in What Did I Miss at the first act, like Jefferson asks Sally
Mm.
Hemings to read the letter that's calling him to New York to go do his thing
We don't
and
see
all of that
Sally,
fun
but
jazz.
Sally is, yeah.
Yeah, Sally Hemings, real cute. And
Look it
in
up.
the yeah, look that up. And there's a reference in Cabinet Battle 2, I believe.
Is it two?
It's
Yeah, I think
it's
it's two.
either, it's one of the Cabinet Battles. There's a reference to it, and in the mixtape there was a scrapped song for Cabinet Battle 3 that was them specifically talking about
Yeah,
it
yeah, I
and
remember that.
everything. So I know that Lin did want to include it, and I imagine that if this were being created now, it probably would be more prominently included instead of just some throwaway lines. Just because I think that the founding of this nation was kind of sort of built off of the black backs of slaves.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of sort of like hard to like kind of sort of throw it under the rug. But
which I kind of like that. Like, yeah, you're right.
But
Like,
I get that it was made in 2015, and 2015 is damn near 10 years from now. And while now it's like, okay, yeah, duh. And like,
yeah,
you should include like more than just some throwaway lines and
yeah,
stuff
but I
to
mean,
it.
at
But
least,
back in
at least,
2015,
yeah,
it was a different landscape in 2015. Not to say that it was like the early 2000s where like, oh my god, they mentioned slavery. But like I feel like it wouldn't have been as successful back in 2015 if it were to include all of that stuff. But I do know that if it were to have been released now,
maybe. I mean, I think
yeah.
it's still a smarter choice that those lines are left in it because it's like we're not glossing over it, right?
Yeah, no,
Like, and
no, that's
like,
not me saying they're entirely glossing over it.
yeah,
I would have liked a version of it that I don't know, because I know they mention it, and it's not even just those couple of lines. Like I know Lauren's like whole plot in the musical, which R.I.P. Um,
right,
um, his whole plot is that he wants to make a whole black battalion and
right.
everything. Like his whole point is freeing the slaves and everything, and also that he and Hamilton might have had a thing going on. Um, they were just
They were
really
good friends.
really good friends.
They were
They were
good
just really
friends.
good friends. They were roommates. They were roommates. You know. Um
Well, this is always an interesting conversation about this play because it is based on actual historical
yes.
figures, really.
Figures.
And so, like, I feel like so much of the subject matter is very touchy, very, saying,
Mhm.
you know, and I
Yeah.
feel like part of the reason it became such a phenomenon is because they found a great balance to
Oh
be
yeah.
able to, point out the things of the history, but
Mhm.
also, tell this really unique, stylish, and very like creative story
Oh yeah.
around these characters.
Mhm.
And Lin Manuel is unique for his
Writing
ability to
style.
to
Yeah.
yeah to write very clever. I would call it very
Mhm.
clever rhyme schemes. So
Oh
like
yeah.
that's how you get so many good and like unique songs in
Mhm.
this. And it was
Yeah.
such a deviation from traditional musical stylings, like
Mhm.
truly, like truly a deviation. You
Yeah.
had, even in the Heights, had, uh these really emotive ballads, what I'm saying,
Mhm.
and these, what I'm saying, catchy songs, and
Yeah.
it was very structured like a
Mhm.
musical would be. This was a total deviation from
Yeah.
that. Like
It's sung through, which at the time was, I believe, not a thing.
it was rarer. It was
It was
definitely rarer.
significantly rarer compared to now, where there's at least one musical on Broadway that is sung through.
Yeah.
Um, that musical being Hadestown currently, but but yeah, no, it, like I said, it was a revolutionary thing, not just in the contents and like just it did a lot of stuff.
It did a lot of stuff.
It did a lot of stuff. People were discussing if it broke the record for the fastest sung lines, because I know that
Yeah.
that was held, is held by Company, Never
Mhm.
Getting Married Today. But people were like, "Oh my God, did David Diggs break it? Did Renee Elise Goldsberry break it? Like, oh my God," and all that fun jazz. I don't think they did. They got close, but I don't think they
What one thing I
did.
will say that I have to give this musical so much credit for, it made household names
Oh yes,
out of
yes. All
David
of the
Diggs,
people
out
that
of
are in
Anthony
these musicals
Ramos,
are
out of
are
Philippa
doing
Sue.
amazing things.
Yeah.
Like they're all like, I mean, obviously we've got like the big hits, like obviously Lin-Manuel Miranda is successful, duh. But
Hmm.
like I am blanking on his name. Aaron Burr's actor.
Oh, Leslie Odom. Oh my God.
Leslie
Yeah.
Oldham
Yeah.
is a movie actor
Like
now.
he's a star.
He is a star. So is David Diggs.
Yeah.
Um, there was like they're all this, yeah, this shot their like careers.
And Ariana DeBose. Like
Ariana DeBose.
Ariana DeBose, Jonathan
Yeah.
Groff is in here. Like
Mm-hmm.
like he was already pretty established,
He was
but
already big.
still,
Like
they're
yeah,
like even
like
bigger.
yeah, like this made some people's careers
Yeah,
and
like
everything.
a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
blew up out of this, and it's crazy to me because Ariana DeBose's role here is like one of the like
She's like a
background
background
dancers
actor.
or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like she was
I
in
think
this
she might have been one of the Schuyler sisters as like an understudy,
as
but
an
like
understudy. Yeah,
that
yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah. Like that's crazy. And
Yeah.
like now she's an Oscar winner. Like
Yeah.
what? Like
Yeah. I know. It's crazy. Like
it's
this,
insane.
yeah.
Uh
Um but yeah, no, like the composition, Alex Lacklemore
whew,
did his thing. Like
did
I
his
said,
thing.
I will always diss this musical in the cultural context, but as a musical, like just viewing it as a piece of art,
Mm-hmm. This thing alright.
I can't sit here and lie and say that it's bad.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't say that it's a bad musical.
It, this thing alright.
This thing does its
This
thing.
thing does its thing.
It does its thing. It has a it does the hip hop thing so well, which is
Yeah.
weird because once again, this is a musical about a bunch of white people.
Yeah.
Obviously they're not played by white people, but like this is a musical about a bunch of white historical figures and
Yeah.
everything, and it does the hip hop thing
So well.
so
Like
well,
like in a way that you're like and again, I think this was
and
part
it
of
changes genres and
yeah,
stuff. Like we
like
get like jazz in the second act and everything. Like
it's
it's
crazy to me because it's
yeah.
like it's so well controlled,
Mhm.
and I'm like, which is unbelievable. So if we go back to the 2015, 2016,
Yeah.
when I don't even know how I found this, but like when I came across it, I was like obsessed. Like
Yeah.
obsessed in a way
Yeah.
where it's like if you knew me, you'd hate me
This
because
was
I couldn't go like
yeah.
a full conversation without mentioning Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like
This was
and so
like
like so much of what I loved about it was the storytelling. Oh, the storytelling
storytelling.
in the songs is
Mhm.
so amazing,
Yeah.
and the fact that it's partially rapped, partially sang, like,
Mhm.
and you're still getting the full story. It blew
Yeah.
my mind because also I'm at this point in time I didn't know that there was such a thing as
Mhm.
sung through musicals. So I'm thinking like, not only is this music great, but once I hear the book, oh my god, I'm gonna be blown away. And only to find out,
Find
no,
out that
there
there
is
is
no
no
book.
book.
Like this is the story. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the fact that you were able to get the story, the whole
Mhm.
story through songs and through songs that are done rapping wise. Like it's
Yeah.
like what? Like this
Mhm.
thing blew everybody's mind because it
Mhm.
was just so incredible and like
Mhm.
just the way that it was able to do it is
Oh
like
yeah.
astonishing, especially if you were like me and you were a huge In the Heights fan. You're sitting up here thinking like this almost feels like a completely different person
Yeah.
doing this because it's like
Mhm.
In the Heights is dramatically different from Hamilton. Like dramatically different. That's a contained story
Mhm.
in a single neighborhood. This is a
Mhm.
sprawling narrative over decades. Like
Yeah.
like it's insane. And like the amount of creativity and
Mhm.
style and substance that he was
It
able to cram into this. And I say cram and it's like 40
yeah.
something tracks.
It's
But
40 it's 42 tracks because to represent how old Hamilton is.
nice.
But he this was my first musical.
Mm,
Which I know is crazy to think about because
mm,
like I went to an arts high school and everything. Like
mm,
what? I never really engage. I shouldn't say it's my first musical. It's the first musical that I deliberately went out of my way to engage with because
mm,
I obviously interacted with musicals like Hairspray and other like and Dreamgirls and stuff like that. Like I
mhm.
obviously engaged with musicals prior to that, but this was the first one where I was like deliberately went out of my way to be like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this and enjoy it and everything. My friends recommended it to me, and everything, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. Which is why this musical is why I prefer sung through musicals as
Mm,
opposed to not sung through musicals because
mm.
this is my first one.
Right?
This is my first one, and it's probably the first one of so many people
Yeah.
just because of how much of a moment this was
No
back
doubt.
then.
And like and because it was
It's a
so
gateway
dramatically
drug. Like there
yeah.
were charts that people made of like, oh, you like Hamilton? You're probably after listening to Hamilton, you're gonna listen to Heather's. You're gonna listen to you're gonna listen to Come From Away. Like people were making charts of like how the
Where you
band
go from
like
here.
where you're going from Hamilton and stuff.
And like I think it was so like this is part of the reason why I was telling everybody because I'm like there's nothing there at that point there was nothing like this
No.
ever on
Mm-mm.
Broadway. Like like the only rapped kind of half rapped musical was
In the
Lin-Manuel's
Heights.
previous musical. So
Yeah.
like like this was it. So like it was so uniquely different and I'm like, you know, if you I always hear and I still hear to this day that people, you know, don't like musicals. They hate musicals. They think musicals are stupid and people randomly bursting into song and yada yada. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, whatever. If that's your case, allow me to introduce you to
Introduce you to
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
It's a very good like starter. I
Yeah.
hate to say it like that, but like
It's a gateway drug.
it's a yeah, it's a great way to get your foot in the door if you're not a
Yeah.
big fan of musicals
Mhm.
because it's so radically different
Yeah.
than any other musical you've heard.
Mhm.
But so a little bit, let's get a little bit into the story, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, the story.
yeah.
Yeah, it's about Alexander Hamilton. He's Creole. He's from the Caribbean and everything. And a bunch of like tragedies happened early in his life, but he manages because of his community, he manages to go up to New York because he's a really good writer.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to New York, and it just so happens to be right before the revolution.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so he goes to college and everything, and then after his 2 years in college, immediately gets involved in the revolution and everything, and he ends up becoming George Washington's
Right hand
right
man.
hand man. In the sense that while he was not allowed to fight until the Battle of Yorktown, the thing that ended the revolution, he did all of the written correspondence for George Washington.
Yeah.
During this, he gets into some fights and kerfuffles. Or well, I shouldn't say he specifically did. He got other people to do his fighting for him. He knew that he himself could not fight. Anyways, during this, he meets Schuyler sisters. They're these three girls that are from Philip Schuyler, who is rich.
Angelica, Peggy, Eliza.
Angelica, remind me what we're looking for.
She's looking for me.
Eliza, I'm looking for a mind at work. I'm looking for a mind at work. I'm looking for a mind at work. Whoa, 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 whoa.
And we find out that he gets married to Eliza. However, Angelica really liked Hamilton because they were on the same footing, intelligence and all of that, some fun stuff wise. But Angelica was the oldest, so she was like, I can't marry this man because A, Eliza's into him, but also B, I need to marry rich.
Yeah.
I have to keep the money into my family because they have no brothers, and everything. So nobody was going to inherit Philip Schuyler's wealth. So, anyways, he has a kid. Kid at some point dies. I shouldn't say it like that. That's so mean. They win the revolution, obviously. And then we get to second act where it's them figuring out how to build a nation,
build a country. Yeah.
how to build a country and everything. At one point, Eliza goes upstate for the summer and everything, and during this time, because Hamilton did not go with her because he needed to stay home to continue doing the work for the country and everything, because he wanted to get this money plan, because he was the treasurer, hence why he's on the $10 bill. He was the state treasurer. He ends up cheating on her with my brain keeps thinking Jasmine Cephas, and it's like, that's the actor's name.
That's the actress.
That's the actor's name.
Something Reynolds.
Mariah
Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Yeah, Mariah Reynolds.
On her husband finds out and allows it to keep happening. This ends up being really important later, not just because he cheated, but because he gets he has to pay to continue cheating.
Yeah.
So then once Jefferson and his lackeys, including Burr at this point, they were good friends, but they are no longer friends.
I'm in the cabinet. I am complicit in watching him grabbing at power and kissing it. Washington isn't gonna listen to disciplined dissidents. This is the difference. This kid is out. Oh, this immigrant isn't somebody we chose. Oh, this immigrant's keeping us all on our toes. Oh, we'll show these federalists who they're up against. Oh, Southern mother, Democratic Republicans.
They're like, oh, we need to figure out, fuck Hamilton, get this man out of here. He's just really annoying. They find out about the transactions and where the money's going. They just don't know why the money is going. They just see that the money is going somewhere. And he's like, oh, this is all legal. This is all my money. I'm not taking money from the state and everything. But, yeah, I was cheating on my wife. That's where the money was going. I was cheating on my wife. And then he was like, don't tell anybody this, though. And they were like, no promises. He wrote the Reynolds.
They were like, yeah, sure, but like he didn't trust him. So
he wrote the Reynolds pamphlet.
Yeah, which
was him basically telling everybody and their mom about him cheating.
Yeah.
And by this point also, he was already like, we've moved on to another presidency by this point. Like, George Washington's no longer president. We are on to John Adams and everything. And he no longer held a position in government because John Adams didn't like him. Um,
Yeah.
but he was still a very prominent political figure, regardless, who held a lot of influence and stuff, and they wanted to prevent him from going for the presidency. Which is why they did all of this. So that's why he wrote the Reynolds pamphlet. Obviously, his wife didn't like that.
No. Shocking.
Shocking. So she burns all of the letters that they had between the two of them and everything. So we don't know about any of their correspondence between them, other than the fact that they wrote letters, obviously, and got married and da 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 da. We don't know anything about what those letters said because she burned them.
Yeah.
Then during this whole thing, Philip decides to get into a duel with somebody. Philip is the oldest of their kids, and loses the duel because he's like, "Oh my God, Dad, what should I do? And I don't know how to do a duel." And he's like, "Oh, just be honorable and aim your gun up to the sky." That's why in the picture,
the picture you see
you see him doing that, to represent how Hamilton never shot anybody in all the duels he was in.
Right.
He never shot anybody. He was very honorable.
Which is so funny because there's a song literally where they say, "I'm not throwing away my shot." That's literally what he does.
That's literally what he does. But yeah, so his son dies because the guy he was doing against was not honorable, and shot him. And by the time that he was across the whatever river it is that splits New York and Jersey, once he was already across, the wound was already infected, and he was kind of sort of like functionally DOA. So his wife's very mad at him.
Yeah.
They get back together eventually and everything.
Takes a while, but
takes a while, but they get back together. And then and then the election of 1800 happens. That's what it is. The election of 1800 happens, and it's between Jefferson and Burr. The people are split because nobody really likes anybody, and they can't figure out who they want to choose. So everyone's like, "What does Hamilton say?" And he, despite hating, I mean, these two hated each other. They did not like each other. They argued every time they interacted outside of the room where it happens, where they finally sit down and are like, "Oh, okay, we'll get you the votes for your debt plan or whatever, but we want the capital to be in Virginia."
Okay.
Okay. Who cares? No one. So, the point is that no one cares about that, but you know, Hamilton did his thing and got his debt plan through.
Yep.
And I mean, it did its thing. It's doing its thing. It made the nation's debt spread throughout all of the states.
Yeah.
So it's not just centralized. Like, it's not each state has its own debt.
Right.
It's the nation's debt. So that's good. That's good.
That was smart.
That was smart. Because now, you know, we don't have... I mean, obviously we got broke states, obviously still. But they're not in as deep shit as they would be.
As they would be if they were handling it themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he endorses Jefferson. Burr does not like that. So then they go to duel. And Burr, in all of his anxiety, because I think like once we get to this part of it, like once we get to that part of the musical, it's Burr's account of events. Burr was extremely anxious during this duel because he was a bad shot and Hamilton was a marksman. And wore his glasses. So he fully assumed that Hamilton was going to kill him.
Yeah.
And then he aimed his pistol at the sky.
Yeah. And Burr shot him.
And in the same spot where his son died, he too died. And then we get to like what Eliza and what happened on future of the nation and everything. And it's kind of so this whole thing of like all the founding fathers got their acknowledgement except for Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew who this man was until 2015.
Seriously.
Nobody.
Like we saw him on the money for decades, but you know, most people thought he was a president because it's other presidents on the money.
Other presidents. He
like,
wasn't.
No, he was our treasurer. He absolutely should have been on the money, but in terms of
nobody knew who this man was.
Yeah, in terms of who he was and what he did, nobody knew anything about
Nobody
it.
knew.
Until this musical came out. So another reason why this thing was revolutionary is like we finally know the story of one of our founding fathers.
Exactly.
Which is insane.
Honestly, the only founding father that we didn't know about.
Didn't know anything about.
Because we know, obviously, Ben Franklin, Jefferson,
Washington,
Adams. Like, we know all of this information about all of the other founding fathers.
Yeah.
Except for him.
Yeah.
So.
And like what I heard often was people loved the first act because it was like very upbeat, you know what I'm saying? It was moving, very, very crackling, and then we get to the second act and it's just tragedy after tragedy.
Tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, to the point where the characters in the musical know. Because once all of that stops and we get to the election of 1800, the first line is Madison. Madison being like, "Can we get back to politics?"
It was just so funny because it's like you know how much tragedy you got to go through to be like, can we do politics instead?
Can we go back to where we were earlier?
Oh man, but yeah, all right. We waxed poetic about this for a long time.
Oh my god, we yapped about this musical for so long.
So real quick. Top 5. What are you?
My top 5.
Top 5 out of 42 tracks. What do you got?
Top 5 out of 42. Oh my goodness. Okay. Satisfied. Banger.
Ooh,
Wait for it. Banger.
Yes.
Room Where It Happened. Banger.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go fast. One Last Time. Nobody acknowledges it, but it's a banger.
Yes.
Washington on Your Side.
Ooh.
Banger.
Yes.
And of course, obviously, the rest of the music, there's not a single skip on this album.
There's not a single skip.
There's not a skip on this album.
Not even a little bit.
No.
Yeah.
Unless you're sad and don't want to listen to this.
Maybe, but yeah. Oh God, this is impossible. Okay.
That's why I had to just be like, all right, rapid fire. Go.
Yeah.
I will just continue talking about every single song.
I normally try to list mine, but this is the choosing between my babies one right here. Oh my God, this is it. This is insane. Okay, My Shot. Definitely gotta go with My Shot. I gotta go with Burn. I mean, Philippa Sue rips that song so freaking hard.
And then on the mixtape, First Burn, where it has all of the Elizas that were on Broadway.
It's so hard, bro. It goes too hard. Guns and Ships. Gotta give it up to Guns and Ships. Oh God. Wait For It. Yeah. I don't think there's any way I couldn't have Wait For It on there.
Wait For It was one of the last songs he wrote because he wanted to make sure that it was right for Burr. And Burr as a person is so opposite to Lin.
Yeah.
Because Lin, obviously Lin was Alexander Hamilton, but he functionally also is kind of sort of Alexander Hamilton. This man does not know how to stop writing.
Yeah. God, there's so many bangers. God, man, did I say, The Room Where It Happened, man, of course. The Room Where It Happened is such a banger. There's so many good ones. Obviously, Alexander Hamilton is a banger of a track. The cabinet battles go hard.
The cabinet battles go really hard.
Washington on Your Side, I freaking love that. I love the remix on the Hamilton mixtape. Oh, stupid. But yeah, if I just had to give 5 and that was rapid fire, I could probably change all of those. But yeah, those are the bangers, man. This album. Come on.
Yeah.
This thing was
Yeah.
stupid good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So final grade. This may be silly, but
I mean, I'm gonna give it an A plus, and I say an A plus because it's not high enough to give it. No, you know what? No, because of its cultural impact, I'm gonna give it an S. Because of its cultural impact, I'm gonna give it an S because while it's not there in terms of like how amazing and just holy shit Hades Town is, in my opinion,
Arguable.
we wouldn't have Hades Town if we didn't
have Hamilton.
Sadly, but
Mhm.
Hades Town would be a vastly different musical, I should say.
Yeah.
We would probably have Hades Town, but it would be very different.
I am going S tier as well. As well, because this thing slaps.
Yeah.
It's impossible to deny not just the music, but the cultural impact is crazy. Like I said, if you're not a fan of musicals, this is the musical
This is the musical for you.
to start it for you. So hands down. I think that makes it 4, maybe 5 S tiers that we've had so far.
1, 2, yeah, 4.
4.
4.
Okay. This is Dreamgirls, Hamilton, Hadestown, and
Come
what am
from
I
away.
missing?
Chicago
And
come from away.
Oh, dang. So okay, yeah, 5.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 5. Oh my god, I
All right.
didn't even know it's Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're growing. That S
Growing.
tier is growing.
Yep.
All right. Whew. Now we transition to a vastly different musical. We are talking Heathers.
It's been 3 weeks since I became friends with the Heathers.
Listen up, biatch!
Friends isn't the right word exactly. It's more like the Heathers are people I work with, and our job is being popular.
Greetings and salutations. You want a Slurpee with that?
I'm here to apologize.
Help you brought knee pads! Oh my god, it's beautiful! I might be beautiful!
Dear Diary, my teenage angst has a body count.
It's a beautiful freaking
Who's next?
You look like hell. Yeah. Well, I just got back.
So Heathers is based off of the what was it, a 1988 film written by Daniel Waters. The film is
It is the OG Mean Girls.
yes, the OG Mean Girls for sure.
Crazy to think.
And it
about
is the rated R Mean Girls.
our version of Mean Girls.
Yeah.
It follows the same kind of sort of not even really, but it has the idea of 3 queen bitches run the school and everything, and then somebody new, even though Veronica's not new, joins the queen bitches, and then chaos ensues. However, this chaos involves a lot of murder.
A lot of murder.
Lots of murder. As opposed to Mean Girls, where there is no murder.
There's no murder. There's some shit talking.
There's some shit talking, but there is no murder.
There is no murder. This is pure murder.
And all of the queen bitches are named Heather.
Yes.
That's why it's called Heather.
Heathers.
Heather Chandler, Heather McNamara, and the other one whose name I can't remember. Last name I can't remember, but she's the green one.
Right. She's the green one.
She's the green one. This musical is from 2014, so like I said, if you were in high school, there is a high likelihood that you have also heard of this one.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to Hamilton, there is a very high likelihood that you also have probably listened to Heather.
Heather Duke, by the way, is
Heather Duke. Thank you.
Heather Duke, Heather McNamara, Heather Chandler.
Chandler. Heather Chandler being the head Heather.
The head mythic bitch. So I have not seen the 1988 film.
I have several times.
Listening to this soundtrack was literally the very first time I'd even heard this story. Okay, so I'm reading the Wikipedia article about this story, and when I'm finished, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, "What the fuck?" Because it is so dark. This thing is billed as a black comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know where anybody laughs in this motherfucker, but like this thing is so dark. Like it is.
Laugh at Dead Gay Son and Blue.
Bro, this thing. I was like reading it like, what? Like, ooh, like, oh no, like,
and it starts out really normal too, because
starts out normal.
Starts out very normal because the plot is that it's senior year for all of these people, and the Heathers get caught in the bathroom, and they're about to get like dissed for get detention for being out in the hallways during class and stuff. And then Veronica forges them a hall pass, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, I also like do all these other things. Can I like sit at your table like one day, no talking? If I sit at your table, people will leave me alone. It's a big bullying crisis at this school."
Yeah. Yeah. And like what's weird is like some of these kids grew up together, so it's like they've known each other much of their lives, and now they've gotten to high school, and now they're like, yeah.
This is definitely where I feel like both of us do not relate because we grew up in big cities and thus big schools where like bullying is a thing, but like obviously, but like
not to that extent. I think it's definitely different. If you grew up in a small town, chances are this is your only high school. So like you're not, you know what I'm saying? It's one thing to be like, hey, I got bullied at John Hay, I'm a transfer to Glenville. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not a hard thing to do. If you live in a small town, that's it. Like that's your only high school. Yeah. So like if you're getting bullied, you're getting bullied.
I have, because of college, I've met people from small towns, and I can say that this is definitely an experience that they have had. My partner grew up in a small town and was bullied relentlessly in high school. So, in Ohio, in a small town in Ohio. So, this is definitely a thing. It's just something that we cannot relate to.
Yeah,
because we grew up in bigger cities where this
bigger
was
schools
not a thing.
When you, especially when you know that you could go somewhere else.
Yeah,
not a thing.
Not bullied enough, and your family cared enough. You just were like, "Hey, I'm getting bullied. Can I just like switch schools?" And they'd be like, "All right, whatever." So, but anyways, they like Veronica, so they decide to let her join into their crew and everything. So she becomes one of the Heathers, even though her name's Veronica. And they like go to parties and do all this dumb shit or whatever. But then the man of the hour, JD, shows up. He's a new kid. He's transferred a bunch of schools because his dad moves a bunch, so he moves a bunch, and his mom's dead. First instance of death. The first instance.
Should have known.
Should have known. That's the first instance. Very innocent instance of death. But anyways, Veronica and JD really like each other and everything. So it's real cute. Anyways, Veronica goes to a party and fucks up with the Heathers and stuff. So they want to they don't want to kill her, but they're like, "Fuck you. You're no longer one of us. You're gonna get fucked up on Monday." So she decides to go spend her last 48 hours fucking JD. And while they're doing that, they come across Heather Chandler's house. And trying to come up with a hangover cure for her, JD puts pipe cleaner in it
Ugh.
and kills her.
Yeah.
So there's death number one. Heather Chandler then proceeds to haunt Veronica for the rest of the musical. Anyways, because of this death, they obviously have to create a suicide note to make it look like they didn't do anything, because it's the 80s.
Right,
so they're not going to actually, like, do DNA testing and, like...
Yeah, no, we're not going to...
Which most police officers to this day don't even do. But this is the 80s, so they definitely don't care and are just going to be like, oh, a suicide note? It was a suicide. It creates this whole revolutionary thing, whatever.
Yeah, where Heather Chandler becomes bigger than life.
Bigger than life. It truly inflates her ego.
Right.
Anyways, they then want to the next targets become the two football people whose dudes that I also cannot remember the name of.
What were their names?
Ram? Kurt and Ram.
Yeah.
Because the remaining Heathers ended up baiting Veronica to hang out with them while their balls were blue, and they really wanted to fuck and everything. didn't want to. So this constantly
naturally,
like, date rape, but like I said, this music, like, it's a dark musical.
Like I wish you could have seen my face as I was reading through it. It was literally like, oh, okay, wait, what? Huh? Like, hold up, what?
Gang date rape.
Yeah,
because
and it keeps getting worse.
Yeah, it keeps getting worse. So JD is like, man, that's fucked up, but I love you so much. We're gonna do it. We're what killed the dinosaurs and all that fun jazz. They make it into this really cute love song.
I didn't finish wars. We're what killed the dinosaurs. We're the asteroid that's overdue. The dinosaurs choked on the dust. They died because God said they must. The new world needed room for me and you. I worship you. I trade my life for yours. They all will disappear. We'll plant our garden here. Our love is God.
Our love is God.
Our love is God.
Our love is God.
And they, JD is like, oh yeah, I got these bullets. They're from World War II. They're meant to, just paralyze people for an hour. They're not supposed to kill people.
Yeah, they're
just
paralyzing bullets. Yeah.
To make them look dead and fake suicides.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kill Kurt and Ram. And then they kill Kurt and Ram.
Except JD's like, fake bullets. Why?
So, more things happen. So that's more murder. That's more murder, by the way. We're up to 3 now. We then get to Heather McNamara. She's the yellow one.
Yellow.
She's the yellow one. They're color coordinated.
Color coded.
She is very upset and stressed about everything that's happening, and she's like, this shit's not worth it anymore. So she tries to kill herself by overdosing on pills. Mm-hmm. Which is a thing for her. She does pills throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But she tries to overdose in this instance, and the entire time Heather Duke is bullying her about it. She doesn't die.
Right.
Which ensues to more bullying, because Heather Duke's like, you can't even kill yourself correctly. What the fuck?
Right.
Yeah. And then, because of also everything that happens, Veronica's bestie, whose name I also can't remember. I can't believe myself for forgetting these names. But during this whole thing, Martha, all the way at the beginning, she really likes Ram. And she gets, the Heathers make Veronica forge a note from Ram inviting her to that party. Yeah. And then she regrets it, which is why the Heathers are like, fuck you. But because of all the stress that's going on, Martha's like, I'm gonna kill myself, and jumps off of a bridge. She doesn't kill herself, though.
Yeah,
So that's
she manages to survive.
Manages to survive with just some broken bones. So that's 3 deaths, two attempted suicides. After that, we find out that JD wants to blow up the school. Because he's just so fed up. And we figure out it's because JD did not grow up in a very stable home. His dad kind of sucks. And like I said, his mom's dead.
He's
therapy.
Yeah, he cares
Therapy.
a lot less for other people.
Yeah.
Only person he really cares for is Veronica.
Yeah.
And basically,
Veronica's like his hyperfixation.
yeah, like basically she was his tether to humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And some, I'm sorry, we missed a couple of things, but at some point she breaks up with him.
Oh yeah, at some point she breaks up with him because of all of this shit.
Of all of the shit,
Yeah.
so he snaps.
Yeah,
right?
He snaps and that's why he wants to blow up school, because he snaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He snaps and he tries to go to Veronica, but when he gets there, she has faked her suicide.
She has successfully faked a suicide.
Yeah. So she faked her suicide, which basically sends him in a tizzy.
Yeah.
He basically tells her to her dead body what he's going to do. And so,
which we get a banger of a song out of it.
Banger of a song,
crazy.
Yes. but so when she wakes up and knows his plan,
scares her mom.
Yeah, scares the shit out of her mom.
Yeah.
But she goes and finds him and tries to stop him. When he realizes that she's alive and that it's too late, he
blows himself up.
He puts the bomb on himself and blows himself up.
Yeah.
And
also during this, like, she becomes friends with Heather McNamara and like refixes her friendship with Martha. And everything, because they were besties since diapers. Like, they were besties.
And she
happened.
Basically finally realizes like this whole Mean Girls type of thing is outdated and like it's been wrong from the beginning, and they should really just go back to
just being
17.
Yeah,
being
17.
Be 17. Is that so hard to do? If you could let me in, I could be good with you. Let us be 17.
Be some kids. No more murder. No more suicide. Just relax.
Just relax and be kids.
Be kids.
So like when I finished reading this, I was like, this is the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. Like the message at the end though, I feel is like incredibly hopeful, but it's Jesus, what you have to go through to get to that.
There.
Like it's insane.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I was a little disappointed in this musical, only because the story is so dark. The music is not. like the music is really upbeat, like very poppy, very like dance music.
Suppose it.
Yeah, and I'm like,
in
some areas I think it works. Like if you're trying to I think you have to make light of this because the story's so dark. So like, I guess like that kind of makes sense, but like, I don't know. It just felt weird. It felt like it wasn't enough matching. To go along with it. Like if we start poppy, that's great. But like at some point it needed to shift into a darker tone.
And I mean, it kind of does with some certain songs like Lifeboat, Yo Girl, Meant to Be Yours. Those are pretty... Yo Girl is the bullying song. But and it's not even really a song, but it is the bullying song. Or no, not that one. It's Shine a Light Reprise. That's the bullying song.
Ah,
Yo
okay.
Girl is the song where Veronica is getting bullied by all of the ghosts.
Yeah.
But that's fair. I like it just because I like that it juxtaposes all the dark and stuff and makes it feel a lot lighter and everything. But I get that that's not for everybody and stuff. I think the movie does this better.
Yeah.
And I think that the original world premiere cast recording does it the best out of every iteration of this.
Ooh.
Granted, we don't have the new recording that's coming out probably later this year, next year, because it is coming back to America.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is coming back to America. So basically, this started out in America off Broadway, like nowhere near Broadway, but off.
No.
Nowhere near. It wasn't off Broadway, but like it was a big enough thing to like have its own like cast recording that's very popular.
I actually don't think it ever made it to Broadway.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
But it made its way to the West End.
Yeah.
So there's a West End recording. That one's bad though. I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody that I know who likes Heathers likes the West End recording because it takes that thing that you were talking about of making light of everything and turns it up to 11.
Yeah.
It's bad and changes songs. So like Blue is a very silly song. It's meant to be silly while you watch Veronica get. Well, you're not actually watching her getting gang raped or anything because they don't actually ever do anything. They just beat her the entire time. It just make her super uncomfortable the entire time, which still isn't cool.
No.
Don't do that. Don't lock your friend in a car with two men no. Don't trap your friend in an area where they cannot get to the car and escape from the discomfort of two men chasing them with blue balls. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Also, this is 1980s. Like, guys, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
You'll be okay. But don't do that. But the West End recording changes the song entirely, and I think it makes it a lot more preachy, and like just kind of sort of miss the point of why people like Blue so much, which is that it's just really funny because they make a lot of silly puns about the blue ball.
Yeah.
And everything. Like, the West End recording kind of sort of, like, just misses the point of why the premiere cast recording worked so well and everything. So I'm hoping that when, that the recording that comes when we get I don't know if they're going on Broadway again or not. I don't know if they're going to Broadway, but when it comes back to America and we get that cast recording, I'm hoping that is revised.
Yeah. One thing
they kind of sort of censored the fuck out of it for West End.
Yeah. One thing I'm hoping is because the original cast featured Jeremy Jordan. So if they come back with it, I hope Jeremy Jordan gets to play JD again because his voice I think is uniquely.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think his voice is uniquely suited for that particular character, especially in certain songs. But yeah, that's just me. Okay, so.
But yeah, I do think this musical is really silly. If you ever have the chance, I think you should watch the movie.
I'm gonna watch the movie because I definitely need to see that.
You need to see the movie. It's pretty. It's not a musical. It is.
Yeah,
it's a movie. But it's a good movie, and I think that this is a good adaptation of the movie. Because the movie even is like, what the fuck?
It's so interesting to me, too, because I'm like, I'm not in high school anymore, but, like, when I was, I dealt with my fair share of bullying, right? But, like, for me, I genuinely hate bullying so much that, like, I can't watch it. Like,
that's fair.
Like, I can't watch someone be bullied and not do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, because that was my experience. eventually I
that
got
is
to the
kind
point
of
where it
sort
was
of the
like,
point of it. Like, this is a
yeah,
very dramatic, like,
yeah, this is
people
a
got
very
so
dramatic way
so fed up with bullying that they decided to commit murder
commit
about it,
murder.
which is
Maybe
so
not.
sad that that's a reality in America
Yeah,
nowadays too.
yeah, maybe not to that extent, but like
But
you gotta
yeah,
like I hate seeing people not stand up for
yeah,
themselves,
yeah, of course,
especially in a high school setting where
yeah.
it's like, hey, calm yourself down,
And
like that.
like JD
We
is
all in the
being
same place going to geography class because
yeah.
I need
Relax.
you to tone that down.
Yeah,
Like so, like
it's 8 in the morning. I need you to bring that down. But
bullying, man, just knock
yeah,
it off.
bullying,
Like
stop.
it's
I know
not
that like
okay.
we're like
Like I mean,
adults now and everything, but
you
like
know,
so
I
we're
don't
like
have.
coming from the other side of it of like
Yeah,
stop. Like
yeah.
stop. Like
It's
what's
not.
the
It's not
point?
okay, bro. It's
Like
really not
I
okay.
get that you have a sad home life and you need to have an outlet for it. Go join a sports team. Go play some video games. Go join a club.
Yeah,
Like,
join a club.
do
Like
something else about that
truly.
pent up rage and anger that isn't taking it out on other people around you. Because you're just making the other people around you as miserable as yourself.
Yeah, and
So,
sort of the point, but like again, it's gross. It's a gross thing
yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
So top five. Where are we going?
My top 5. I feel like this is like a consistent top 5 for most people, but Candy Store, obviously. Dead Girl Walking, obviously. Lifeboat and Kindergarten Boyfriend are 2 very good solos.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're from side characters.
Yeah.
Like, Lifeboat is from Heather McNamara,
Yeah.
and Kindergarten Boyfriend is from Martha.
Yeah.
2 damn near almost irrelevant. Like, they're relevant, but damn near irrelevant side characters. And they got these banger-ass songs.
Yeah.
And granted, they're suicide songs, but, like, they're really good.
Yeah.
Meant to Be Yours, obviously. And then, like, 17. It's a good duet. It's a good duet, and I like the reprise of it.
I love the reprise. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it really emphasizes the let's just be kids.
17. Like, just be kids, bro.
Kids.
Just be kids. It's okay. So for me, this one I do have an order. So for me,
That's fair.
I got Fight For Me.
That's fair. That is a good solid.
I like that one. I got The Me Inside of Me. Love the hell out of that.
Yeah.
Our Love Is God.
Yeah.
I think that's
the murder
such
song.
a banger. Kindergarten Boyfriend, right there with you. That's a banger of a solo.
Yeah.
And top of the list for me is going to be Yo Girl. Yo.
That's fair.
I'm
It's
sorry, that thing is
good.
too funny.
It's really funny, but it's also really good because it's like she's just being haunted by these
Yeah.
ghosts. Because they're just like, yo, girl, da ba ba ba. And like in the musical, like there are like doing the weird head, like ghostly head movements of
Yeah.
like, yo, girl, keep it together. Like they're doing that as they're following her around.
You know, like I
everything.
could just imagine like, you know, saying obviously I still haven't seen the movie, but like if you're haunting someone, right? I think Yo Girl is the perfect like embodiment of what that would look like. Like so like if you saw the movie, like that would be one of those things where you're like, "Oh, I could totally see a song right here for this moment." So like that's what that is. And, like that's why I love that.
That's
so
fair. It's
top of the list for me. All right. So, final grades. What are you giving Heather?
I am gonna give it an A. I think it's a great musical. I know that you disagree. I know that you disagree. I think it's a great musical, and A minus.
Okay.
But I think it's a great musical. I'm excited to see how it makes its way back to America. if it's on Broadway, I hope that they restore it back to the world premiere cast recording and not whatever censored shit they got going on West End. Because that's bad.
Well, yeah,
It takes all the fun out of it.
I hope
And
it
can
does
I just
come.
say, this does, like, dark comedy correctly.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
I think that it does dark comedy correctly in the sense that it is punching down.
Okay. I think it's a little bit too. I don't want to say childish, but it's a little bit too immature. I think in its musical composition. I would love it if it's brought back and it can be retooled.
Yeah, no, like I said, when I say that I hope that it's brought back to its original sense, I more mean I hope that they keep the comedy that is involved in the original. Because like I said, the comedy in the West End version does not hit the same.
Yeah, I hope the comedy is stronger. I hope the drama is equally as strong.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm going with a B- on this one.
Fair. That's fair.
I like it. I definitely like it. I think I would love the movie more. I think I might appreciate a more updated version of this musical.
Yeah.
But for me right now, it's gonna be a B-. Solid. You know what I'm saying? Not exactly. I'm not gonna go Hamilton obsessed on it, but like it's a solid one. So B- for me, A- for Lazuli. I think that's fair for Heathers. All right. So, question: what we got next?
Next, we have Hedwig and the Angry Inch and Hell's Kitchen.
Oh dear. Oh. So Hell's Kitchen is a very new musical. That was just up for Best Musical in 2024.
Yep.
So, ooh wee. So those are two new musicals for me.
Same. I haven't interacted with either of them.
Never listened to Hedwig, so this will be fun.
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. So we're going to get up out of here. This has probably been our longest episode.
This is our longest episode, probably.
Yeah, you heard it here.
We were